What's up, everybody? Let me know, as always, if I made the volume too loud. I think I got the same settings as last week, which seemed to work. But yeah, let me know if I inaudible. So, yeah, had a pretty exciting week. Our game launched. Let me turn this down, actually, I can't even hear myself. Awesome. What's up, Rybot? What's going on? Actually turn it down a hair. There we go. Yeah, so what's up, guys? Welcome back. This is where we left off last week. It's was pretty much got the idea there. I did tweak some things I got the tip of the blade worked out a little bit better than I had it at the during the stream last week. And I think I also made this symmetrical in 3D in radial symmetry in all three axes there. The other one was hand retopologized, and I just didn't. I guess it's probably just overkill at that point because it looks identical. But I did, in fact, want to make this fully symmetrical. I also reversed that blade so that they would be kind of cutting into each other. And that's basically all I did after the stream ended, and we ended up with this in-game asset here. And yeah, so that's where the blade disc ended up after we built it on the channel last week. I was you know, a bit under the gun because, as you can see in the chat, we launched our game last week, so we added. I think we had 3 discs, and now we have 8. And we did all of those in the last week or so. So yeah, it's been very exhausting, but really exciting. The asset came out pretty good. People seem to be digging the blade disc. Like I said, we put that little emissive on the inside so that the thing has a nice pop when it rotates, and the blade handles sort of spin around it. Yeah, we're all pretty happy with this piece. You know, like I said, like the title of the stream is Rapid Content Production. And yeah, I tend to go a little bit slower when I'm streaming because I get lost in explaining things and experimenting stuff. But yeah, you know, you can tell like this is just a pretty low resolution asset that was auto UV'd in ZBrush, built almost entirely in ZModeler last week. I guess about 95% of it was done in ZModeler. I don't think I even used Maya for anything. So yeah, and it's like I said, you have a pretty simple asset because our camera is so far away from the prop. So you know, at distance, it reads kind of bulky, and you know you can kind of see what it is from far away, and the shape language holds up because the shapes are bold enough that it reads from pretty far. And when you have that much, you only have so many pixels in that screen real estate, that bulkiness you know, tends to work. So pretty happy with that piece, and then let's build some more this week and just keep doing, you know, more content. I actually am gonna kind of wing a little bit. I'm not super I'm not sure what I want to build next. I kind of have a handful of ideas. I got a little reference here in front of me. You know, maybe we'll just get warmed up on one of the simpler ones that I think I want to do, and you know, we'll go over there. Yeah, so what's going on, Brendan? What's happening? One of our other very talented streamers. He also makes game art, and his stuff is really good. What's going on, Kyle? And thanks a lot, Rybot. Appreciate you. How am I feeling post-launch? I'm exhausted, and I hope it doesn't come through today on the stream as much as I assume it's probably going to. Pulled 2 all-nighters out of the last 3 nights. So much adrenaline, so much just like, even if I was tired, I couldn't sleep because it was just, you know, how could you sleep when, you know, I was trying to go to bed at 3 in the morning, but then the game launched a little bit early in Europe, so now I'm keeping an eye on the Europe launch and engaging in social media with anybody who's talking about the game. So it was just one of those things where it kind of caught up to me all last night. I had slept probably 8 hours in 2 or 3 days. And so yeah, I'm still kind of, I guess the word is you know, sort of just release hungover at the time right now. It's just been one of those really crazy few days, but everything's going well. The reviews are solid, and people's feedback has been really positive, and so, you know, we're just really excited that the game's out there. here's Disc Jam if anybody wants to go check it out. It's on PC, PS4. PS4 players get it for free if you're a member of PlayStation Plus. And so yeah, thanks a lot, guys. Thanks a lot, Doug. Yeah, got the ZBrush swag. Pixelogic sent us streamers some gear and wanted to represent the good people at Pixo. All right, let's get going here. So yeah, like I usually do, I'll keep the disc from the sort of for the size and scale of how big it works in game at full size. How easy to auto UV inside of ZBrush? Yeah, you know, it's super easy, Joe V. And one of the big things that I talk about, I'll do some demos here while I'm here. One of the big things I talk about in my pipeline is that I just try to work as fast as possible, and I'll give love as needed. I will give love to the areas that need them, you know, and I won't know what those are until I'm looking at a near final asset. So last week we built this. I knew I wanted kind of a blade thing. I cut it out of, where is it? I think I saved the other pieces. Yeah, I basically just painted this onto a cylinder, and I cut out the geometry, it's just a mask. And so I'll walk through the auto UV process, because once you get to the low resolution geo like this, you know, obviously like what you would want to do is like optimize your texture space, because you really do up the quality of the art by, you know, doing a good job with your textures and your UVs, and you don't want to waste that space because it's just more detail. And like when you're doing a physically based, when your shading model is a PBR, physically based rendering pipeline, you can really extract a lot of good visual information with your maps and how you author those textures. So it is important to pack your UVs super tight. However, what's more important to that, at least to me, being the only artist on this two-man team, it's much more important to be as fast as possible, and so we can get it in the game and then add polish iteratively and polish as things work or don't work, and we stand up stuff as quick as we can. So to that effect, what I tend to do is, and I actually want to write a little Z script to do this for me, because I kind of have, I think, a pretty repeatable process in it. Say I have this piece, right? I've got it modeled, no UVs on it, right? I'll break it up in half, so I only have one shell there. Sorry, like, imagine if this was, you know, one poly group, right? So I've got one poly group here. I'll break it up into two shells, auto groups. Now it's got two poly groups. Let's just get a better looking one. Now it's got two poly groups, and then all you gotta do at that point is I'll dock my UV master over here, and I'll have basically every piece of this prop will have a low resolution version, and these are actually all my high resolution versions now, because I've done the export for baking. But what I typically do is, if you look over here to my right, you see it's underscore high. I set everything to underscore low for all of the low resolution geometry. They don't have UVs on them yet, which is a problem. And then I go in and I groups by normals, and that will automatically set everything to these nice poly groups that then I can break out instantly. So I auto group everything by normals, I crease all the poly groups, and then it'll subdivide in a way that holds the interesting edges that I want, and also gives me those nice little bevels. That's obviously a little softer and a little smoother than you would go for in a mechanical piece like this. But the reason I do that is because having it be nice, soft, nice and smooth like that enables the normal bake to kind of catch those edges and pop those out, and they'll catch a little bit more light. So yeah, so like, you know, once I go through all, so now at this point in the process, in any of the props, they start off in a non-UV'd low resolution topology state, just like this is, and there's poly groups for each side. Then I'll just go right down the list of all my subtools, symmetry off usually, poly groups, unwrap, and it you know, takes 2 seconds. Let me see if I can delete higher here. And you know, that's not super ideal because it didn't need to cut that edge over here, but those are easily fixed problems. And again, it's 95% of the way there, and I didn't do anything. I just procedurally hit a solution that, you know, okay, now I got UVs for everything. What I'll do is I'll go through the entire mesh, or the entire subtool rather, or the entire model and all the subtools. I'll do that process on everything. I'll just grab my UVs, flatten them down, and that procedural solution is typically quite good. Once I shoot it over to Maya, you can tell if there's any distortions. So I tend to clean up distortions over there real quick before I go final to engine. But like I said, 90% of the time, that auto UV solution gets me there, and there's no the textures are all relatively the same size, and or sorry, the UV shells are relatively the same size, and it does a pretty good job. Like that's the thing, is to get yourself there, is get yourself 90% of the way there with a one-click solution is a big part of my sort of iterative approach to things. It's just like, let's get this as far as we can, as quick as we can. Then, like when it comes time to clean things out, of course I have the tools to do that. Robo Wheels, how do I get the underscore? So I've actually talked about this before. You can type the underscore if you do Control Shift Alt. Yeah, it's Shift Alt minus gets you the underscore. But one thing you'll notice too is that, like, if I just do space, it will actually, even though it's not red in here, there's no underscore right there. Modeling packages like Maya and most other like exporters, they don't support spaces in the mesh geo name. You can't have a space there. So even if you just have a space, it'll replace that with an underscore on export. So I tend to just, like, when I'm naming all these things from low to high or whatever, right? This was blade underscore low, and I've exported it to Maya as blade underscore low. When I come back through and name it high, I usually just do blade space high, because Shift Alt underscore is just awkward and it's a little bit faster, and then like that'll be blade underscore high when I export it. So that's kind of how I work with that. All right, let's go to this. Plug it out of my way. Let's clone this off. Start from here. See what we can do. Bring up some ideas here. See if I can't get a little inspired by what I want to do. That'd be a good one to do. And also, you guys have to excuse me. I've not eaten yet today, so my breakfast / lunch is going to be delivered here in a minute. So I just got to run and grab it. I kind of like that. I wonder if. All right, let's try this. So one of the designs I wanted to do for a while now is a sort of tri grip swirly one with like a capacitor or like a circuit in the middle. So let's work towards that right now. I think the first thing I'm going to need is a cylinder right in the middle here. Let's build myself. No vertical divisions needed. I like to do 36 because it's 4 times 3 times 3. I like it to have divisions on the 4 axes and the 3 axes. Anyone who's been watching my previous streams will know my penchant for 36 spans. I'm also going to delete all on the old one so I don't save any of my changes by accident. Okay, sorry guys, this desk of mine. Now I think what I want to do actually is not have the art of the middle piece that I'm going to be building right now. I don't want to have that. I actually don't want that to I don't want this to have its own grips. I think it's going to connect to the grips. I think it's going to probably be its own little shape, and then I'll draw some retopology on it that connects these grips to it. So I think what I'll probably do is, am I missing my line on polyfill? There I am. I accidentally clicked. If anybody loses your polyframe shapes, they're kind of hidden. But there's these little options inside polyframe, so that's what happened to me right there. I was missing that. So yeah, you'll notice as well, like the amount of spans. Sure doesn't seem to match. Did I do 64 on this one? Oh, you know what? I think I did. Let me go back. I think I multiplied that by 2. I did 36. Let's do 72. I think I multiplied it by 2. No, that's too big. Stick with 36 for now. Yeah, not exactly. I think this ring actually is the wrong amount of geometry. I'm not sure if when I would have done this to something other than 36, but it's not gonna matter. I can address that when I get to it. But yeah, what I want to basically do is like have this cylinder be about that big, and then when I come over here, I'll like, oh, there's the food. 1 second, guys, I'll be right back. Just FedEx delivering a package, so I'm still gonna go hungry. But yeah, so like, as I was saying, I would come in here, and then I'm gonna remove all of these spans in the middle, get it nice and flat. Yeah, so then it's just like the outer kind of grip area, and I'll just connect that to this geometry. And if I don't have like matching edges right now, edge loops, but I'll correct that when the time comes to marry them together. Yeah, like another thing to keep in mind, like I like to remind people, is that that little white dot will center your transpose line inside the unmasked geo. So whenever I have a piece like this that I know is symmetrical about the origin of the world space, I tend to hit that little white dot. It moves a little bit faster for me. Yeah, so he's something along those lines. Crease, group by normals. I'll put polygroups on all the edges there, crease polygroups, and get a nice hard divide. Subdivide a few times, 1, 2, 3, then uncrease all, do a few more times, get nice rounded edges like that. 360,000 is a good amount of geo. That should enable me to paint some cute stuff on this. Alright, I'm gonna probably dynamesh this as well. It's a little too beat droppy for me. Yeah, the FedEx guy was dropping off our wine club subscription, and I think it's probably the last thing in the world I need right now. So doing a quick dynamesh here to give myself some geo to paint on. Then I'm gonna, yeah, nice even topology. Now let's get this concept in front of me. So I think I want to have kind of like a swirly I want the cuts into it to be kind of swirly, and then this thing in the middle is going to be like a triangular sort of resistor or circuit, or like the flux capacitor almost from Back to the Future. The flux capacitor. So something like this. This is just a nice little lazy brush with full masking on. It works a lot for just laying down basic initial shapes. Yeah, it's not the food, it's the wine. You know what? Let's try another method, because I actually already painted this to exactly the way that I want it. So I think it'll actually be better rather than paint it again. You have a cat named Radial Symmetry at Pixelogic. That's amazing. It's a great name. Hold on a second. Sorry guys, one sec. I gotta go grab my dog, who is at the foot of the stairs and whining at me. Sorry, one moment here. I'll leave the ZBrush interface up so you can see where we're going a little bit. One moment. I'm back. Sorry about that. So yeah, this is the thing I painted up, and this is basically exactly the kind of shape I want it to be. So I'll just grab these pixels, I'll grab them, I'll export them out of Sketchbook or Photoshop, I'll import them in a ZBrush, and then I'll use this, I'll just plop it down on the geo instead of painting it again. Because like I said, like these curves came out just how I want them, and you know, rather painting that again, I know that this works. So one thing I want to do is correct a little fuzzy blue outline on there. So I'm going to drop this into Photoshop right quick and clean that edge up and make a nice little clean alpha for my mesh. Map, disjam, concepts, disk. So I'll throw a quick here's another one I'm excited about. It's gonna be like a floppy disk. You see our emblem in game. There's like a floppy disk version of our game disk jam, and I'm gonna make like sort of like an 80s taupe, one of those like kind of diskette holders, but into like a round disc-like shape. I'm excited to do that one. Maybe we'll do that one next. Okay, so there's got this blue artifact in there on the side. So I'm going to probably just drop a layer effect on it. Color overlay. Just make it black. So all the pixels on this layer will be black. Do a quick Gaussian on it, most likely. Smooth those edges out a little bit. And I believe I need to fill this. I always get this wrong. I always do the opposite, unfortunately. I think that's the correct color. Alright, let's do an export here. 1K export, disjam alphas. Alright, let's get back to ZBrush here. Alphas, import. That alpha came in just like I wanted. Oh, there's a little bit of, damn. Let me run a levels filter on this real quick because there's a little bit of chunkiness in there. Yeah, Doug, he actually built a piece with Shadowbox as well. That was my first week. I did the Shadowbox version of this method. There's a bunch of different ways to do this. The Shadowbox is a really cool tool, so I like that a lot. With the thing that I like about Shadowbox is when the geometry is a little bit more complicated. Shadowbox is great because you can be a little bit more hands-on with like in 3D space on the 3 axes defining what your shape's going to be. With the discs, they're pretty basic. They're just essentially cylinders. So because of that fact, I like to just paint it on there, do a quick polish by groups, and do add edge loops, and that's what I've been doing. That's what I did last week, and that's what I'll be doing here today. But the Shadowbox flow is totally valid. A great way to do exactly the same thing. At the end of the day, you're going to get to Dynamesh geometry that you can then get your low resolution out of. So yeah, definitely more than one way to skin a cat, of course, and that way it does work as well. So I'm going to do an adjustment layer, levels on this thing. So bring in the levels on this a little bit. Here, I think if I import this again, it should be okay. Why can I not get rid of those little speckles? So frustrating. And it'll come out when I sharpen the mask. So let's get to a circle stroke. Or is it probably a square stroke? Give it some alt clicks to sharpen the mask out a little bit. I'll also probably just erase that backside. Oops. Yeah, if you guys should do that. do some disk jam mid office. I know that the guys over at Unreal Engine they just emailed me and said that they like their game of choice now is disk jam to like settle office disputes. So like over there at Epic, they all play disk jam each other over lunch to kind of settle the score of whatever scores need to be settled. Okay, so I've dragged out that alpha, and that's the shape that I want. And like you can kind of see, what I like about it is how like these arcs are kind of overlap B, but the movement is sold in right there. So that's basically exactly how I want it. So I will Control W, get my geo out of that, and you see it's got these chunky edges. But a quick polish by groups, and boom, now you got some nice rounded edges. And just knowing when to use procedural solutions like polish by groups, and knowing when to let the sort of math of the application do you favors rather than get in your way is something that just comes with time. A lot of experimentation and things that didn't work, and would get me there. Now, what's the best thing to do? I think I'll probably just pull this straight out. Yeah, that's pretty much what I want. So actually, there's a million ways to do this as well, but this is just kind of, for simplicity's sake, this is kind of how I like to do it. Oh, I'm not having any geometry there. Let me get some geometry back. I'm going to Dynamesh with polish on. No need to project. What's up, Walrus? This is essentially like sort of a kind of like a resistor is going to go in this middle, and there's going to be like energy connecting it to the outer rim there. It's kind of hard to explain. It'll be actually a little clearer when I get a little farther with it. Mirror and weld to sew up the back half of it. Now, this is the kind of thing that I sometimes like to experiment a little, and I've been doing this on my streams to varying degrees of success, but I like to see, what would a auto remesh look like of this. And my instinct is that it's going to have a little bit of trouble getting low enough that I want to use the geometry, and yet still honoring these shapes. I'm assuming I'm going to probably need to get in here some manual retove. Just because, yeah, even with a lot of geometry, you start seeing those overlaps. And you can definitely clean that out. But similar to last week, I think it'd probably just be faster just to get in and do some topology. The trick is trying to do this in such a way that I don't create more work for myself. Low resolution geometry. And you can be a little bit like you can see my hand tailing off here. I'm going to clean that out in a minute. Ugh, damn. And I know this is not ideal right there, but the good news is it's so easy to edit this topology. So I'll just kind of, hack away at it like most things with ZBrush, like paint with broad strokes and then refine. Circular is even the way to go, to be honest. I'm not sure about that just yet. Tricky, but actually I can do more there with the Z modeler brush than I'll do by hand here. Now the food has arrived. Sorry everybody, I will be right back. Alright, sorry about that. I'm just looking at this UI for the Square Enix guys. This is awesome. Yeah, mine's definitely pretty intense as well. And I'm always making changes to it. I'm always constantly... I'm always just like, oh, you know what? I haven't used this button in a long time. It's got to go. And I always find things that I need more of. Damn, this is sweet. Unfortunately, I'm on the... I only have 1080p with a screen real estate. I'm on the Cintiq 22 HD. But I think now that Disc Jam is shipped, I've been meaning to upgrade this for a while. I think I'm going to get one of those oversized big Cintiqs with the touch functionality and all that. A little treat for myself to reward ourselves for shipping Disc Jam. I would love to have... This is great. Definitely going to go through this a little bit. Here's one thing I'll mention. While I have you guys from Pixelogic here, if I do a custom UI, preferences, config, enable customize. So here's how you build a custom UI. You get everything now in every menu becomes a draggable button. If I drag over Dynamesh Polish, which is an option that I want to use often. If I drag over Dynamesh Polish, right, and put it in my little Dynamesh section down here, when I restart, and if I store that config and restart, that UI element is going to be replaced by the deformation slider for the polish. The polish deformation adjustment becomes this button. So I can't find a way, and just looking at this, just looking at the Square Enix guy's UI, he doesn't have polish in his either. So I don't think it's unique to my setup, but something that yeah, the Great Jug, I definitely need to get the button size a little bit smaller. It's actually right where I like it right now in terms of visibility. And I just need a reason to upgrade my Cintiq because it's like my favorite toy in the world for these Wacom tablets. Oh, whoops, I wasn't even on that. It was on quick save. So usually I just press 9, throw a quick save together. I don't think I have even a tool saved for this yet. So now this is shadow box polish. See like the little button that I made right there? It's shadow box polish now. Like once it did a restart, it changed on me. So I just something, I don't know if you guys are aware of that, or just thought I'd share it in case it could get fixed. Let's get back to how things should look. Okay. Back to work. And yeah, I saw the lazy mouse. I don't like to use lazy mouse too much on this step. I like to be able to make hard turns, and with the lazy mouse, turning corners, things like that, it becomes a bit challenging. So I kind of like to I'll live with my bad strokes because they're very easy to clean up. When you have low resolution geometry, it's incredibly easy to clean that stuff up. I just have to decide now how to clean this shape out. First thing I'll do is probably this. is it just the end of this playlist or what? Shut up. There. Oh, awesome. Yeah, thanks, Kingsley. Appreciate you guys taking a look at that. Been meaning to actually email about it, but I didn't want to bother you guys. I think sometimes I can't tell if emailing devs is something helpful or distracting. The incorrect amount there. Oh yeah, I should go to that. Just want to align these edge loops a little bit better. Probably. It's gonna go there. One, two, three, four, five. I think 4 points is plenty if you're right there. Let's try and get 4 down here as well. Might regret adding that triangle later, but I think I want it. Is there some beeping happening? Oh, is that it? Oh, you know what? I think it's probably Twitter. Yeah, the world is on fire over here on the High Horse Twitter. I'll close that down. It's actually, I don't even hear it anymore. It's it used to be something where anytime we got a tweet, Jay and I would both be on like, oh look, there's a new tweet. Let's go see who that was from, and we were able to respond to all of it. But since the game's gotten a little bit more of a followership lately, it's just ringing at me all day. It's a good problem to have. So yeah, I know that for one, this geo is not going to line up with this geo, so that's something I want to address. Okay, those edge loops align. This edge loop aligns. That one does, that one does. Looks like I have a span right here. It's not aligned. You want to make sure you avoid making cycles. Sandwiches are right there. quick splits here. I'll just manually adjust all this, because this is actually much easier than painting it. You have a nice control over just exactly where you want that geo to all be. Thickness on this that I don't want. Delete hidden. I have a decent start for the third that I'll be duplicating and rotating around. Thirds. The Great Jug, they did the ZBrush Summit of 2016. They did some sharing of what's going to be in. Well, I guess that's R8, not ZBrush 5. But I think ultimately you'll find that features that were destined for R5, I wouldn't be surprised if they made it into R8. Yeah, see, it's only 131 active points. It's a good amount of geo. I'll have a little bit of work to do here when I rotate this because the edge loops didn't line up just so. So it'll be a little bit of work here to marry all those edges together. And you can see, like, I've created a little bit of work for myself because it does cycle a little bit due to the overall shape, but that's easy enough to clean up. I'm not going to do that right now. It's a little bit dull and monotonous, and I'm probably going to end up doing that in Maya anyway. But yeah, got the low poly geo, at least got the beginnings of it. The shape I want is perfect. Like, it's got the edges, and when I subdivide it, the corners have enough geometry to hold the shape that I want there. So, I'll clean that up off stream in a little bit, and then in the meantime, we can get back to work on this bad boy. So yeah, what I kind of envisioned was that there'd be sort of cabling that goes to this kind of central unit here. So why don't we try and make that? Let me bring the concept up as well. I think I might have rotated it too many times. Yeah, I think that's up down. Let me check out. Oop, no, X is down here, huh? I think this is probably it. Yeah. There's the x-axis. Try and get this. This somewhat perpendicular. You'll see what I'm doing when I get the shape going. But I want this sort of be standing up. So this is another thing I do kind of quickly. Like, I know I want a box. I know I want it to be centered around the origin. I'll just do a quick duplicate of the thing. Go to the one I duplicated. Jump down here to initialize. Do a quick cube. And that'll just give me centered about the origin, nice little box, and I can start playing with that. weld and Y. So notice that edge is a little bit unstraight. Just bring a clip curve. Straighten that out. Yeah, usually it has it up there somewhere. Yeah, I don't know. It wants to be a little more triangular. Yeah. Probably inset that shape a little bit too early. Whenever I have a variant of something that I like that's kind of working, I'll duplicate it off and then roll back my undo history. Probably don't want to be insetting that region, like that little inset cut right there. It's probably a little premature, so I'm gonna take another swing at this. Be like a power cable that comes up to here, do a circle around, connect right there, connect right there. Oops. The old alt-click accident. want bevel down there. It looks better with the bevel. Move point by infinite Y. And I'll just make sure I'm moving through the whole mesh. So thicken this up a little bit. What's going on, Zomax? So I need kind of a small cylinder now. I'll probably just make one, since I don't think the brush tools that I use, I don't think there's a good one. Document. This one's going to be pretty small, so I don't need that many divisions. Even 12 feels kind of a lot. Let's stick with 12. Make polymesh 3D. good way to drag off a duplicate of something is mask it, and then control move, and we'll get you. So those would be kind of like little coils that connect to. Now I just kind of want to center that little center, the circle in the middle is on the origin. I'm just trying to eyeball it so that this little plate is centered about that thing. Must have clicked that. Yeah, oops. Rounded edge on that one. So these will be like the little resistors almost. They'll be all emissive and they'll be pulsing electronic light, and they'll be all connecting like this like center core thing. So I know I want there to be a sort of emissive trail, almost like a tube going around the thing. I think probably. Hey Joseph, I'm making a disc. So I'm making this game, working on this game Disc Jam, and this is essentially going to be one of our discs in game that you can throw back and forth. The characters in our game you can customize your disc, and so I'm just trying to make sort of like a capacitor in the middle, like a bunch of like little resistors, like a circuit almost, and that'll connect to some kind of energy bolts of light that kind of work around the frisbee. Anyway, usually I have a tighter plan than this. I'm kind of just winging it today. If I want to tinker around with the concept, I have a very loose sketch that I did for this. The one on the lower right there is what I'm working towards, something like that. So usually, you know, you want to have a clear image in your head. I'm just kind of doing some sketching today and doing some low poly exploration. See if I can't come up with something I like. I think like wires might be kind of cool if I do. Brush curves. Let's do some curve tube. These curve tube settings a little bit. Take the cursor moves down. Yeah, that's good. Just building some kind of like wiring that I think will help shine the disc up. These will probably be emissive glowy materials. It's very important to have the right amount of geometric resolution. Makes your life a lot easier. You're not fighting against too much resolution, too much geo. Oops, it looks like I shrunk the size of this thing on accident. Correct the size. If your curve is active, you can just change the brush size, give it a tap, and correct it. Yeah, just this is entirely done in ZBrush. I try to stay in this package as much as possible. I haven't really needed to exit at all lately. It's been really kind of fun to do everything in this digital content tool. Most of the other instructors on here have been doing a lot of amazing just organic sculpting, and I've been trying to make my streams a little bit more about the low poly stuff, because that's what we use it a lot for in our game, and it's not something you see covered all that often, so hopefully it's helpful for you guys at all. So yeah, a little bit more unorthodox, I would say, for better or for worse. Now those are lit brightly. They're all lit up. Yeah, pretty cool. I also want to make these into sort of more bubbly, kind of chunky resistors. Let's try this. First things first, I'm probably going to delete these and just get them out of my face. It's distracting. And whatever I do with this one, I'll just repeat it. did this a little bit last week, but I like to do insert, multiple, interactive resolution. That just becomes a nice little edge rounder. Right to the max of it, right? There's perfect. Yeah, happy with that. So a quick save here, just in case. Do a local sim, mirror and weld in Y. I guess it would be C. What happens? Nice. That's kind of what I was after exactly, as a matter of fact. So I'll probably paint those a little bit, do some texturing on that, and make them kind of like a circuit board with a little. What is the polycap for a new disc? Oh, we can be pretty liberal with that. We don't run into a lot of. Our game is a pretty simple game to draw, in that it's a top-down stadium, a la like a tennis perspective, and so you don't have a lot of open world to draw behind it. So we can be, I don't want to say the word wasteful, but we can be pretty liberal with our poly count. So I end up using, I don't know, probably. Why don't we just take a look at a final model? Actually, I haven't even a couple thousand. Which is, I could definitely optimize that a lot more. The main thing I kind of say always is that, like, I want to just avoid pointed edges, and I want to avoid the appearance of the low poly. So that's kind of where I end up. I add more geo or remove geo based on that truth. Like, is there a hard edge that's visible on camera? Yes or no? And one thing I tend to do, if these things are all going to be symmetrical in 3 axes or 4 axes, if they're symmetrical, then when I go to do my final asset, I'll delete everything besides 1/3, and then I'll mirror that around. That's kind of the fun. Discs are a pretty fun asset to work on because they're incredibly forgiving. They're round, they're symmetrical. You can. Okay, let's see if we get a example disc here. So yeah, so I did this one in ZBrush last week. That was just like a very sort of radial symmetry cut out of a Dynamesh that I then came through and low polyed around the edges of. And this whole thing is 5,000 verts. Yeah, so that's 7,600 triangles. And it's including all of the curved geometry is really quite, you can't really do good curves like circles and ovals like this without assigning some verts to that. So that one's a little bit more heavy in the triangle count. This one is actually around 9,000 to 10,000, and that's not including the propeller discs that we have on it. Those things spin. So yeah, but all this was done in ZModeler, and you can kind of tell that I popped those grips got popped off on ZModeler. The sort of drone cuts and shapes all done with Dynamesh and the booleans. Like I used boolean shapes to cut out the grip size, which is different than the cylinder for the propeller size. And after a quick retope, ends up being about 10,000 triangles. So hope that answers your question. Yeah, Tim. Call me Tim. Call me Timmy. Whatever you want to call me. Yeah, so just to catch up the other guys who maybe just joining, so this one's going to be kind of like a capacitor. This is just like a little energy ball circuit in the middle, and there'll be like pulsing electricity on these wires. And the thing in the middle is probably just going to be like this shape is just going to be more of like a housing for it. So it'll just be kind of like a some kind of what's the word I'm looking for? Non-conductive, circuit board type material. So maybe it'll be kind of matte plastic with engineering writing all over it. That'll be something I address in the texture. And yeah, 10,000 is actually a lot. Yeah, well, hard and soft edges can be respected to and from ZBrush. You'll notice that like these all render with hard edges. That's more for visibility's sake. But you can do things like, what I like to do is when I have things like this, for example, like working with creased edges and hard edges is super useful. So like you'll notice that there's 90-degree splits right there, which don't bake very well in the game geo. So I've gone through this a few times, but like I'll group everything by normals. That'll put me at nice polygroups, and then I'll crease polygroups. Probably add some creasing to this so I can maintain that geometry there. Crease the entire edge loop. So now I can like generate some high resolution geo there. Probably want another crease right there. And then what I'll do for Maya is I'll subdivide this, export those polygroups when I go to and from Maya, and then Maya will automatically pick that up and assign hard edges and soft edges accordingly. So Maya would take these edges that are creased and they'll be hard edges, and they'll take edges that are not creased and they'll be soft edges. So it kind of already does your work for you, and it's a really good place to start because I do a lot of my base mesh buildup. As you can see, I'm doing all my base meshes in here, which is traditionally people do that in another DCC package. I do most of my base mesh stuff, my early shape language definition stuff. I do all that in ZBrush, and then when I go to Maya, like if I've done my job with a little bit of forethought, the hard edges are kind of already set up for me. And I even have a Maya script that will go through all the UV edges and create hard edges on the UV edges and soften everything else. And it's a really useful script because it basically takes a lot of the manual process out. And if you've worked in Maya or just game art in general, you know about how many times you need to just cut through low resolution geometry and select all of these, select all the geo and get everything just so. ZBrush takes a lot of the workflow, takes a lot of that out. If you leverage it properly, it'll do a lot of that for you automatically, which is very helpful. So that little resistor is good, I think. I probably want these to be a little bit more. Sure. Specified elevation. The details in the grip handles are that is a texture map normal. You're talking about the little hexagonal pattern that wasn't sculpted. However, just for completion's sake, there's no reason you couldn't do that here in ZBrush. There's no reason I couldn't put a hard crease on these, group by normals, crease polygroups. If I had enough geometry, which is of course where ZBrush really shines because it can execute on such a huge amount of polygons, jump on over to Surface, Noisemaker. Oop, got a crash. Provided it does not crash, but you go to the Noisemaker, and all of that hexagonal pattern that's in that grip of those handles. It's just an alpha that I have of a hexagon and tiles, and in my texture package, I've basically applied that via the texture. However, it would be absolutely no problem at all if I just did it via ZBrush and went to the Noisemaker. Throw that same exact alpha into the Noisemaker, and if you have enough geometry, like a million polygons or so, I can create that exact hard resolution, and then I could bake that as well. So baking that in the high poly, it's usually just a choice of what's going to make me faster. The thing about the doing it at the texture state is that I can be a little bit more procedural about it. That is to say, like, I can move a bunch of sliders around, change things on the fly, get the texture into our game engine, find out, oh, you know what, the octagons are way too small. And instead of having to come back out to ZBrush, rescale them, and bake it again, I just go to my texture package and I just move a slider for what's applying that alpha. and then that's a 10-second process instead of a few minute process. So just one of those little things that's why I prefer to do it then. Getting pretty close. I feel like there's still something missing that I want there to be on here. I wonder if there's not a way to make something cool into these little pieces of geo. I want to kind of break up the monotony of that area without getting too overly dense. There's a couple things I need to do actually. Down a little bit. We got a nice little housing for these wires. And Move Elastic is a good brush. Like you see how it's bringing everything. If I want to maintain and keep the shape of something, I'll switch over to Move Elastic. It's a really good brush for like making subtle edits and not affecting the points in a way that's destructive to your geometry. Oh, you know what? I think this might be cool. Kind of bored of the cliche black discs. Well, I'm sorry to disappoint you, but this is not going to be a black disc, so hopefully I can stop boring you with the art that we work on every day. Actually brings up a good point though, because I know that like I'm picturing like a green circuit board for this main central texture, but I really don't have a concept in mind at the moment for what the outer grip's going to be. I'll have to think about that. I actually want to just do one more little curve right here. Yeah, I think that's a little bit of visual interest to break up that kind of dull area. Ah, just maintain my brush settings. Yeah, it sure did. Awesome. I think it was right around 70. I thought it might be cool if they kind of overlap a little bit. It's actually not very cool at all. I hit 6 right there. You hit 6, it'll smooth your curve out. And anytime you're making too many curve edits, it's good just to kind of watch for pointed geo. I did shrink it down too much though. Just get this how I want it. One thing you can do is once it's in there, I will lock start. Oops. Lock end. Unlock start. Yeah, that will keep that sort of like in there how I want it unless I touch specifically that curve point. Bend. A little bend, but not too much. It feels a little bit tighter. Mass topological is a very helpful brush to use in a situation like this. Or using the topological masking feature of the brush. So like that, I don't need to mask anything out. I just can, because they don't share topology, it won't interfere with each other. Just doing a little inflate right now because I noticed that the other wire is a little bit bigger. So deformation, inflate, pressed 1, and I just do repeat to active, do a little like nudging of 1 inflation. Subtle, but I just want it to be a little bit more equal in size. What's up, Mr. Monster? Yeah, it's like a kind of like a capacitor on a circuit board, almost, is what I'm thinking. You know, and I'm pretty close to wrapping up the base shape. The main thing I want to do now is think of something for this grip, because I didn't put anything in the concept about how the grip would connect, and you know, it's not necessarily, doesn't really need to be a rounded edge grip. So maybe you think circuit boards, you kind of think hard angles. We don't really have any grips either that are kind of like something like this, maybe, or it'd be like a hard edge to a little lip. Kind of like that. The hard angle I think works. Yeah, it's rounded obviously, but clearly has kind of like a sharp feeling. Where can that topological button be found normally? Bristlebane. It is under, I think, brush. Let me find it. Modifiers? No. That's the thing about custom UI. I don't really drill into these menus as much as I used to. It might actually be another place altogether, but I'm just could have sworn it was in the brush. Auto masking. Yes, it is. It's an auto masking. Here's a bunch of stuff to kind of control. The back face mask is another one. You'll see I keep that over here in my custom UI. This little section tends to be most of the stuff that I use that came out of that little sub menu there. So menu is brush, sub menu is auto masking, and it's this button right here for topological. And it's super helpful when you're dealing with like uniforms and things like that. And it's like when you want to have all this stuff on your subtool like adjacent to each other. Lips is a good example. Lips and teeth and gums. A lot of times you'll see people use mask topological to move eyelids and lips around while they have geometry there that they don't want to affect, like eyebrows and teeth and so on and so forth. And then back face mask is also huge, because a lot of times you'll notice like I have, let's see this real quick. So like my basic brushes, you see it's called Clay Tubes B, Clay Round, Clay B, and then Clay Buildup B. That B is for backface mask, because when I'm doing my first like organic shapes at the beginning of a sculpt, right? Like say I'm just gonna do some kind of goofy looking dude, a little bit of a pinhead. Like I keep backface masking on by default to prevent cutting through the mesh on the back. So like all my main kind of shape brushes, I'll use that backface mask. But occasionally, you know, I'll be in here, and if you get that some of that stuff starts happening and you want to just be more aggressive with it, turn off backface masking, and it'll always kind of work together nicely. Yes, that's why I keep those things there. It's all about just, that's my little area I go when I have geo getting affected that I don't want to be affected. There you go. There's a new character for you guys. It's like the clown from the Saw movies. Clown, whatever that dude is. play around with the clay a little bit. Get back to the disc on here. There you go, ship it. New face. Yeah, that bass fade. So yeah, that's why bristle band's exactly why I just keep by default my clay brushes are pretty much all bass fade masking by default, and I've replaced them. I've actually put them into Z startup so that I've replaced all of my default clay tubes, things like that, with B. Yeah. Okay, so I'm pretty happy with this. I think it's going to be a little bit more visually interesting though. I kind of like that shape, and I think I'll probably make this a light. The inside part will be just a kind of a light, sort of, reflecting the kind of power source. I think it would look silly to put any more lights on this outer ring, so I won't do that. This will sort of be like the kind of taupe 80s technology material. It'll similar to that disc I showed with the floppy drive inside of it. It'll be sort of like that. It's going to be that kind of chunky old 80s tech material. So because of that, I think it would probably be cool if it had like ridges, like radial ridges around it. Let's try it. Let's take a look at that and see if they make that something cool. Let's do radial symmetry in Y. If I did my job right, 36 should be the number. No, it's not the number because of that over there. What in the world did I make this? Well, actually I think the better thing to do is just make another one anyway. Let's create myself another cylinder here. Radial symmetry 36, it should be okay. Yeah. Now I can start putting some cuts on this bad boy. Let's hide everything besides this. Yeah, to answer some of your questions about the different customizable colors, the main thing right now we have to be careful when we start doing like a lawn court. Like we have the clay court now, so we really can't do an orange disc, right? Because it would get lost. Um, we want to do a lot of different kinds of courts, including like street, beach, lawn. They're going to be primarily monotonous color palettes on the ground of the court, so we can't have discs that are going to like get lost in there. So the problem with adding customizable colors is that it would be something that would kind of break on a per Mac basis, and that's a huge problem for us, obviously. So you know, we've got some ideas about how to address that, but that's kind of the main rub. I can delete this one. Yes, that'll work. Yeah, well, street would probably be like a blacktop of some kind. Um, yeah, I'm not too worried about it. The discs are most of the discs. I mean, there's no just straight black discs. I mean, like that's just not what they are. So they've got enough color breakup that the contrast is really what you need. If there's contrast, then it'll stand out. It's also something it's like a bridge we can cross. Find out stuff's not working. I'll probably delete that. Let's move this up. Let's see this out. Save disk. Let's call this circuit. Okay, so where I left off on this, I wanted to do some ridging across all the spans here. So let's bring this down to 18. This kind of fits in our little design aesthetic, I think. Kind of has that feel of the sort of old, like, meaty 80s tech. I actually would like to maybe separate out material on it. Yeah, I'm into that. Yeah, I'll probably have like this sort of hard taupe shell casing, and then like the off-white kind of thing is guarding, and then this part will be an emissive shiny, and the coils will all be kind of pulsating and chunking, pushing energy into this thing, which will probably maybe like have sparks and stuff shooting out of it. Like I said, a pretty basic idea, a pretty simple sketch. Didn't put a ton of forethought into this one, obviously. Some of the ones I have cleaner concepts of, like the drone disc that I showed you guys earlier. That's right here. That one, I had a decent idea where I was going to go with it. Camera in the middle, 3 propellers, 3 grips. That's pretty close to the final shape. And today, obviously, working a little bit more, shooting from the hip a little bit more today. Sometimes you kind of waste time doing that, but I knew I wanted something like this. I just didn't know what direction I was going to go. The main problem I have with this now that's going to keep this from me loving it in game is that I'm not wild about the base try cut thing here. It's a little uninteresting. But the good news on that one is I can solve that problem a lot of different ways. I can add more texture. I can do that in the step where I'm baking the asset, and I can add some more visual interest to that thing. But it's also good to mix up. Like, good design includes often mixing up complexity as well as giving your eyeballs places to rest. That's something you'll hear a lot of artists kind of talk about, is you want to not overwhelm them with detail, as well as have intricate details. They have something for their eyes to go to. A lot of times I'll handle that part of the design problem. It gets solved in the texturing phase, because that's really what the game asset's going to look like. So yeah, I think I'm going to call it there on this one. And next week when I spin up the stream, I'll show you guys what it looks like in game. And we'll keep moving on. So let me save this one off, and then we'll get started on the next one. The one I really want to do, and just because I love it, is I want to do the thinking face emoji. So I'm just going to start sculpting this right now. I probably won't get it done. I only have 45 minutes left, and I have to have a phone call right at 3 p.m. sharp, so I gotta be prompt about my stream exit this time around. But let's get started on this one, and that'll be a fun one to kind of work on while the stream winds down. Speaking of which, I'm going to go grab a water, guys, and maybe another bite of my sandwich. So if you'll excuse me, I will be back in about half a minute. Alright, let's do it. Kind of starting this one already, looks like. This one's going to be like a kite, where some elastic sort of stretchy material stretched out over a metal ring. Maybe like some nails, something drilled into the thing. Really though, I'm just looking for some base geometry. Start painting on. I guess it would make sense if this thing was like built into like a plastic mold. I figured like this would make a lot more sense if it had like, you know, I can't decide what kind of grip I want this to have. Like with the emoji, you would kind of expect that shape to be a part of, you know, a plastic molding where it was like built into like the rounded corners of the disc. At the same time, because it's yellow, I think it'll complement a nice. If you kind of picture a Nerf weapon or a Nerf ball, like they have that sort of foam grip that's usually accompanying the plastic molded stuff. And I think that aesthetic would work really well for this. I think I'm actually going to build a grip, even though before I wasn't planning on it. I think I'll probably do grips with the emoji in the middle, and I'll be kind of like a Nerf style, rubbery, you know, foam hard cut throughout the grip handles. Let's work towards that. Let's find out. Do myself a favor here and build myself a torus, or a ring 3D rather. That's what it is. It's 72. I think I do 72. Oh, we standardize this. I forget what the standard is. Might be a little too much geo, but it's easy enough to remove geo later. This song's killing me. Yeah, okay, so it works. Key mesh polygroup all. Let's push this in a little bit. little thinner. Pixel Dread, what's happening? So I don't need this low resolution. In fact, some subdivides. Got to about 250,000. Off, polish on, Dynamesh blur, 128. Sweet. If I back this masking on, actually, I won't even worry about that other side. I'll just mirror it over. Okay. Let's sculpt this thing. Arian win. So this is a disc for our game Disc Jam. I just finished this one over here. It's like a kind of a circuit disc that'll be mirrored on the back side and has like a little kind of capacitor set up in the middle. This one that I'm making now is going to be a little bit more silly and like kind of a plastic molding with a rubbery grip of the thinking face emoji, which is something we hear often in the Discord of our game Disc Jam. So I'm just gonna work on that little guy. I'm gonna Z-remesh it actually first. Pop this thing off, give it its own geometry. So once I get like a decent shape, kind of know. Control W, get a polygroup for it. I'll diminish this piece. Auto groups, give me this piece, delete hidden. So that finger's pointing a little bit too far north. Let me clean that up real quick. Blur the mask out, giving it a bunch of taps. Yeah, Kyle, is one that like anytime we're in our Discord, and people are asking us questions about the game, we get a lot of the face. So I always kind of like anything that kind of reminds me of Disc Jam. We try to start there for mining inspiration for what we're gonna do. Let me just close the holes on this because it's distracting me. Sort of comes up a little bit more like that. Right now I'm just kind of putting down landmarks. I likely won't be using this geometry. I just want to sort of plan out where it's all going to be so that I can start building the pieces. What's going on, Whiskey? Looks a little too angry. Make this eyebrow a little less angular. It won't look as angry as it does. Oof, did I blow that? Just kidding. My backspace mask is important. Yeah, thank the good people at Pixelogic, Whiskey, because they've been doing an awesome job putting all this stuff together. And when they asked me if I wanted to do some of the Disc Jam assets on here, I said absolutely. Are you sure it's not going to be dull? Because they are pretty simple assets. I mean, like the one I just built is that circuit there, and it's not certainly not like the kind of thing you'd be blown away by. Oh my god, look at that art. It's something that I'm all about, kind of speed and iteration, and just trying to get a solid game asset out of pretty bulky, low resolution geometry. This one will be a little more fun and tricky, just because it's a little bit more organic in the sense that it'll be kind of plasticky, not as hard edge. face is pretty good. I wonder if I should do in cuts. Should the eyes be like bulbous and out, or should they be cut in? I wonder. Yeah, Joe, it's PS4 and Steam are the two launch platforms, and then we'll be coming to other platforms over the course of the year. We're just a two-man team, Jay and I, so we only have the bandwidth for the one or launch platforms, but we're definitely looking forward to bringing this game to as many platforms as possible. PC, PS4 to launch. I think the shape there is pretty good. So now what I'll do then is I'll just start pulling Geo out of this. Just polish all that away. Whiskey is very similar, yeah. How long was our production for a two-man team? About a year and a half production from nothing to nothing to full ship game in about a year and a half. We started in October of 2015 for IndieCade 2015. We had a bunch of cool online technology but no game, and so Unreal Engine was like, why don't you come show something. And I was like, well, we really want to show this networking tech that we have. So we'll have a game for you. Don't worry. Give us 8 weeks and we'll see you there with something. And so what we demoed was Disc Jam, and it just, we had a great crowd the entire show. Had a huge response to it. Ended up spinning up a tournament, and instead of becoming sort of like a tech demo, it became like, let's make this game. Let's finish it. And so we put everything behind that idea, and yeah, you're right, Whiskey. A year and a half. So yeah, that's how we ended up, and we just shipped the thing. It launched on just this past Tuesday. So if there's a little bit of fatigue in my voice, that's why. We've been having some pretty crazy, really fun, but pretty busy and crazy days and nights in recent days. We launched in Europe, North America and Europe, and then we'll be launching in Asia and Japan. I know Japan is but it's a separate region when it comes to Sony. So like Asia is a lot of other countries, and then Japan is its own like separate publication. So I've isolated the eyebrows, split them off, delete hidden. And there's a million ways to do what I just did right there. Just how you want to isolate geo. It's just this is kind of just improvise. Behind it, unhide all that. Polish the edges. I'll probably do a Z remesh actually. Z remesh down to half. Let it adapt. Let's try that. No adapt. Half. 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 There we go. It's a nice low resolution geometry for me. I'll just take my Q mesh brush, Q mesh everything, group visible, polygroup all. There we go. love how the playlist definition is like chill, and then it comes with this intense drop trap music. Yeah, the game definitely works with the Xbox controller on PC. Xbox One is what I'd recommend, but the Xbox controllers you get for like 20 bucks. The Xbox 360 controllers, like a wired USB one of those, is like 15, 20 bucks. Yeah, it's a pretty nifty thing. The low how well you can get down to low poly, and you know, now with low poly, it's so much easier to make the subtle adjustments. You know, one thing I talk about in one of my last streams is like, it's amazing with faces. Faces are so like, it's something about the human mind and how we recognize and process facial features. Just the tiniest of edits to an eyebrow or a smile or the corner of the mouth, and the whole feeling of the face is different. So it's like something I always try to be careful about. The eyebrows are just right, and then plus, like, now that there's such low resolution geometry, I can play with them a lot more. And the way I did that was basically just you know, I had one single flat poly. I polished by groups, and that's what makes it kind of nice and rounded at the edges when you do a Dynamesh cut and you pull it out like that. Beyond that, once I had like nice rounded edges, do a quick Z remesh, do extra geo at first so it captures all the curvature, and then just cut away from that and reduce. I think for the mouth, it's a little too open, but yeah, exactly. It helps so much. And then even if you go back and forth to Maya, which I do obviously when I want to do some certain kind of like, you know, more precise vertex editing, things like that. Even if you intend on doing your retopology in Maya, which is totally fine, valid workflow as well, you can get yourself 85-90% of the way there with Z remesher. So like, I tend to just do like a Z remesher when I'm doing like a character or something. I'll do like a Z remesher guide on like the knees and the shoulder and the elbows, just so there's no cycle, so it doesn't have a spin polygon cycle. Get those things to have nice clean edge loops. It will probably have some artifacts and some errors, but like I'll throw that into Maya and then clean up from there, and I've saved myself over an hour probably of just getting the base topology in a workable place. It's learning to leverage those procedural tools has really increased the speed at which I can get stuff done now. It's amazing how much of this stuff is just bleeding edge, because you couldn't always do all of this. Like that, you know, a lot of these workflows are you know, with every release, there's a brand new way to do something. It's really exciting because, you know, rewind the clock even 5 years, and it's just a lot of things in game art were a lot harder than they are today. This is the one I'm keeping. Keep that. This is the one. Delete hidden. Auto groups. Delete that one. Let's close that hole. I'm not too worried about artifacts here because I'm just going to Dynamesh it anyway. Turn it into a nice, playful piece of kind of round geo that I can mess around with. Auto groups, delete hidden, and I'll delete all those little scraps of stuff. Being pretty sketchy and like, you know, loose right now. I don't need to be super precise with this part of it. So even though like I won't even like use this as game map, that's great even topology, and it's gonna enable me to sort of do more here. Yeah, we also updated the disc jam this morning. We had a few issues that we discovered that we didn't discover until the game went out to tens of thousands of people in a day. So like, we hotfixed some patches, made that patch live this morning. Also fixed a couple typos and little doodads and things that people found. We're very thankful to report. When you don't have a QA department, when your QA department is just Jay and I and our lovely players on our Discord helping us like find stuff. You know, a lot of stuff tends to slip through the cracks. There's my reference here. He did not, Walrus. I'm not sure what you're referring to there. But definitely appreciate you helping find stuff for us, because it's been honestly something we couldn't live without. All you guys helping us find out what's broken in the game design, find out what's broken from a technological perspective. Very, very valuable for us, so thank you. 10 minutes to the stream's up, and like I said, did I forget to backface mask this again? Damn it. So yeah, and like I said, I've got a call right at 3, so I'm gonna probably hop off a minute or two early. Yeah, just wanted to make a little bit of progress here. I think what I'll probably end up doing is keeping these as just like, even though, you know, a mouth would be something that would like cut into the shape. But I think it's actually funnier if we treat it as a surface geometry that's just like a line in the shape of his mouth. I think it's funnier that way, so I'm going to probably leave it as this. And we'll finish this up on the next stream. By the time I do the next stream, I'll show you guys the in-game version of the circuit board disc that I just made earlier today. It's amazing how something as simple as like 3 little blobs like that have already kind of started selling the effect I'm going for. Now for these ovals, I probably want them to be identical in size and perfectly round. So I'll likely use, the best thing to probably do is to use something that I'll just clone. What is the best way to really just kind of... do local symmetry. Split mass points. There we go. Perfect. Just drew out a little insert cylinder. And now I'm going to use local symmetry, so even though it's not on the z-axis, I can model it and affect it.
The real deep down you is the whole universe.
I don't know why it's so funny to me. Did I not do a bevel? Allegedly.
Is what the whole universe is doing at the place you call
Insert
here.
multiple interactive resolution. So like a little bit of downward slide there. You know what? That's pretty close. So yeah, I think things left to do are turn this into low poly. This might be a perfect candidate actually. This might be something I just do procedurally low poly with the remesher and ship it. You know, I don't foresee needing to hand retaupe this. Hand retaupe this hand. LOL. This finger's a little bit bulbous at the tip. Smooth that down a little bit. Stretch it out. His hand will be a little bit bigger. That little overlap, I'll just kind of mold it into the disc right there. And so like I said at the beginning, what I kind of picture makes a lot of sense for this would be to make the grip sort of like a rubbery Nerf grip. So I think this outside grip here would probably be like one of those kind of like Nerf guns or something where you have like kind of like a foam wrapper around hard molded plastic. We'll probably do a little bit of reference digging. By next week we'll come in here and finish this up. But yeah, not bad start. I think this is going to be one of the discs I enjoy the most. I love the wink, the thinking emoji, and you know, love the I kind of love the connotation of it. Anyway, I got this call here at 3 that I need to make sure I'm ready for, so I'm gonna hop off a couple minutes early today, guys. This is where we ended up on the first disc, and that'll be in game next week. Let me just save that off for safety's sake. Circuit. Yeah, we also spent a little bit of time on this new emoji face, and we'll get that one squared away and finished next week as well. Thanks a lot, guys. As always, don't forget to check out the other streamers on this channel. Pixelogic's doing a really good job of putting some really incredible things together here. Yeah, and you know, thanks for stopping by and throwing your suggestions at me. If there's anything you guys would like to see, you know, we love hearing ideas. So obviously, Cookie Monster, or we got the cookie suggestion in there. There's a lot of different things we're kicking around. So if anybody has something they'd like to see me build, the game's out. So we just want to build more stuff and build more cool stuff for it. And so yeah, let us know if anything you guys want to see. All right, guys, I'm out of here.